Now, there are some drawbacks in disposal municipal waste. Now, despite improvements in liner technology and landfill settings, the liners can be punctured and the leachate collection systems can eventually cease to be maintained. So, the landfills are to kept dry to reduce the leachate, but the bacteria that can break down the material, they will thrive in the wet conditions. So, dryness, right, is very important, and it's important to slow down the waste decomposition. In fact, the low oxygen conditions of most landfills, they will insulate it. So researchers examining landfills often find some of their contents perfectly preserved, even after years or decades. Free preservative. Now in Singapore, it might be troubling because we have the issue happened some years ago, the not in my backyard reaction. So we have to be careful to find suitable locations to put the landfill. So, what is better than open air burning of trash? That's right, it must be the sanitary landfills, okay? It provides an improvement over the open dumping, incineration plants in specially constructed facilities, right? So, we talk about incineration since we're very young. What is it actually about? It is the combustion, a controlled combustion in which the garbage is burned in very high temperature, so you burn off everything. And in the incineration facilities, waste is generally sorted first and having the metals removed. You might want to know why. This is chemistry. If you have metals inside and you have big fire, what are you going to have here, right? A major firework inside. Not good. No one can see the firework and light. Totally wasted. Now the metal-free waste and then chopped into small pieces to aid in the combustion, and then they're all burned in a furnace. Now, incinerating the waste reduces its weight by up to 75% and the volume by up to 90%. So when you burn everything, you burn the waste, right? You lower the volume and do not give so much pressure on the landfill. Now, where did the 75% volume go to? You bet. It become gases, right? CO2, CO, NOx. They are all the elements that become gaseous state. Now, the trash that remain after the trash has been incinerated contains some toxic components, and therefore they must be disposed of in hazardous waste landfill. Just like our chemicals in the lab, we have those chlorinated and non-chlorinated solvents, bottles, right? Separate them. So here we have the hazardous waste separated. And when the trash are being burned, these hazardous chemicals, including dioxins, heavy metals, and polychlorinated biphenyls, we call it in short PCB. Now they can be created and then released to the atmosphere. So these emissions causes a backlash against incineration. Now the citizens, people who stay nearby, they are concerned about the health hazard because there are waste, harmful gases, and if they are staying in the vicinity of the incineration plant, they might have this feeling that they are going to be poisoned. So in most developed countries now, they regulate incinerated emissions, and some have even banned incineration plants outright. So engineers, they also have developed technology to mitigate these emissions. Now scrubbers, they are chemically used to treat gases to produce in combustion to remove the hazardous components and to neutralize the acidic gases, such as SO2, SO3, and HCl, and we turn them into water and a salt, right? Chemical reaction, acid-base, you get salt and water. So what kind of base do we use in the incineration plant? Dry lime, calcium oxide, CaO, metal oxides are basic in nature, except for some of them are amphoteric. They react with these to form salts. So a common salt you can form could be a calcium chloride. If not, you could have some calcium sulfide or calcium sulfate. Gypsum. Particulate matter, we call them fly ash. They often contain some of the worst dioxin and heavy metal pollutants in the incineration emission. And to physically remove these tiny particles, the facilities may use a huge system of filters. We know that as a baghouse, okay? A baghouse. So in addition, burning garbage at a very high temperature can destroy certain pollutants, such as the PCB. They won't survive at a very high Kelvin. But you have to think about it. Now, even with these measures in place, right, not all the toxic emissions are eliminated. Now, incineration was initially practiced simply to reduce the volume of waste, but today it serves to generate electricity as well. We know from young that incinerators, they are now waste to energy, or in short WTE facilities. So they use the heat harness from the combustion. You know, combustion is always very exothermic. In fact, when you burn anything, it's always exothermic. Delta H is negative, and this heat, we don't want to waste it, so we trap them and we use it to boil water, and then creating the steam that will drive the electricity generation, turning the turbines, and that can fuel the heating system. When we burn them, the waste generates about 35% of the energy generated by burning coal. That's not too bad, because they are from waste. And you might think that, oh, so one of the power stations generate energy, right? They can even make money. Now, that's not true. The revenues from these power stations are actually not enough to offset the considerable financial cost of building and running an incinerator. Because we need very robust facilities, the infrastructure can't be weak. If not, at a high temperature, they will crumble. We will build incinerators for many years, not just a 5-year plan. It could be a 20-year plan. So we have to have inner linings of the furnace with refractory materials such as magnesium oxide and aluminum oxide. And now, because it takes so many years for a WTE factory to become profitable, many companies that build and operate these facilities require communities constructing them to guarantee that there is a minimum amount of garbage to burn. If not, it's not profitable. You build a high capacity incineration plant and then you only get so little trash, then what's the point? You're wasting your resources. So there are some occasions where they have long-term commitments by the company that have interfered with the community's subsequent effort to reduce their waste through recycling and some reductions. Because companies, the number one thing on their mind is economics, the money. They don't want to lose money. So when they operate an incineration plant, they must generate revenue by having waste to come in. So if they're underutilizing the capacity, what do they do? They will not want to encourage recycling because that will cut their profits. So combustion in these waste to energy plants is not the only way to gain energy from waste. Now, deep inside the landfills, bacteria decompose the waste in an anaerobic condition. So it produces these kind of landfill gases, which is a mixture of gases. About half of them is actually methane. Methane, is cooking gas, is natural gas. We use it for heating purposes. Reducing the amount of materials entering the waste stream avoids the cost of disposal and recycling, and that helps to conserve resources, minimize pollution, and can save consumers and businesses money. So if you recall last time, right, one of the ways that we can prevent waste generation is called what? Source reduction. At the point source, okay, we cut it. And one mean of this source reduction is to lessen the materials used to package food and goods. Now, packaging, we know that it preserves the freshness, make it looks good, make it more sellable, prevent breakage, protect against tampering, provides information. Yet, so much of this packaging is extraneous, is exterior. And consumers can give manufacturer incentive by reducing the packaging, by choosing those minimally packaged goods and buying unwrapped fruits and vegetables, maybe from a market, and buying food in bulk. Because when you have bulks, right, you don't have to have so many individual packagings. Like in some countries, they package it so nicely. And the manufacturers can also switch to packaging that are more recyclable. So there are already many items from aluminum can, soft drink bottles to PCs. Right, we are trying to reduce the amount of packaging there. To reduce waste, you can also save items by using again or substitute disposable goods with durable ones. And this is a simple habit. You can just bring your own coffee cup, to the coffee shop, Starbucks or Coffee Bean, and you can bring like reusable, those recycle bags, right, over time. And this has substantial impact. And you can donate unwanted items and shop for used items yourself at the sales or resale centers. Those run by Salvation Army. And besides being sustainable, reusing items save money. We all are short of money. We want to save money, we can reuse the items. Now, used items are they are as functional as the new ones. They are so good. In fact, the older ones are even better than those produced today. And what's more, they are cheaper. So recycling offers many benefits. And that involves the collection of used items and breaking them down so that their materials can be reprocessed to manufacture new items. Recycling, they would divert 65 billion tons of materials away from incinerators and landfills. In the US, that was in 2010.